All aboard! Choo-choo, man! Let's get on to the hype train, because the World Juniors, hey, they're starting up. Now, sure, the games that are being played right now are not really the most important games in the world. We're just kind of in the prelims right now, so it's not really that significant, but still. My goodness, yesterday's game, Canada versus Russia, was an absolute firecracker, and it was one that had a lot of people going out there and starting to talk about 2023, guys, because man oh man did we see ourselves a showdown. Of course, Canada, Russia, it's always going to be a fun game. This time it ends up being a pretty lopsided Canadian victory. 6-4 is the final score. And I get it, 6-4. Oh, the Russians were only within 2. Yeah, but they were within 3, with a few minutes left to go in the game. And you could really see that Team Canada getting out to a 4-0 lead at the beginning of the game really did set the tone for the rest of the competition. And a lot of the goals that the Canadian goaltenders let in were kind of stinkers, so that's kind of why you play these preliminary games in the first place, just to get those stinkers out of your system. But still, this game, despite the fact that it's part whatever it is of Canada versus Russia, despite the fact that we saw some really good performances out of NHL drafted guys like Mason McTavish of the Anaheim Ducks, Olen Zellweger of the Anaheim Ducks, Donovan Sobrano, he has an own goal, and then he also gets himself a very nice assist. He's a Detroit Red Wings prospect. We had Cole Perfetti with some really good plays too. Kent Johnson was absolute dynamite out there. There was some really good performances from a lot of these guys, but the spotlight, for many fans, including myself, was not really on these NHL drafted players. In fact, it wasn't even on the guys that are going to be drafted this year. Not Shane Wright, not the guys that are going to be taken, not Ivan Miroshnichenko. Oh wait, he didn't make the team. We were kind of focusing on 2023 guys. Yeah. This was part 1 of X in the Conor Bedard versus Matve Mishkov showdown this year in the World Junior Tournament. Now, yeah, again, prelims, doesn't really matter, but just seeing this game go down the way it did, with 2 extraordinarily different players, with 2 extraordinarily different ways of deployment going out there, it made for some very entertaining hockey, and one of the most, let's just say, impressive showcases for 16-year-old athletes at this tournament. Now, Connor Bedard is the first Canadian player to make this team at age 16 since Connor McDavid, and I believe he's the 8th player overall, alongside of Gretzky and Lemieux and all that, so good for him. We also had ourselves Matve Mishkov making Team Russia, much to the surprise of nobody. These 2 guys are going to be the first and second overall picks in the 2023 NHL Entry Draft, so no, not next year's draft, the 2022 draft, the year after that. The tanking race in 2022-2023 is going to be insane, isn't it? And these 2 guys are going to be your prize if you suck in that season. Bedard and Mishkov, though, play very different styles, and we saw that in the U18s tournament earlier in, I believe it was in Texas this season, where Connor Bedard went out there, he was at 2 points a game, he scored a whole bunch of crazy goals, really, really nifty goals that you don't usually see ever go in. He takes the puck off the inside of his skate on the rush, and he dekes to the backhand and shelves it far side. Crazy things like that. Matve Mishkov, on the other hand, had way more goals than Bedard, less assists. Where Connor Bedard had 7 goals and 7 assists in 7 games played for 14 total points, Matve Mishkov, in the 7-game played sample that he had 12 goals and 4 assists for 16 points, leading the tournament in scoring. Mishkov kind of had that release. He just had the Ovi slap shot, except he was on the right side instead of the left. More Kucherov than Ovechkin, but an equally accurate and deadly snipe as well. While Connor Bedard could be seen as the more exciting or the more dynamic player than Matve Mishkov, Mishkov's just pure ability to just snipe it whenever he wants is phenomenal. And the Russians went out there and gave him that stage to showcase that off in yesterday's game against Team Canada. 2 of the goals were scored by Matve Mishkov, and they were just absolute snipes. It was exactly what I just described. Shakir Mukhamadullin gets the puck at the far right point blue line, and he just sends it over to the face-off circle where Matve Mishkov one-times it in. He did that twice, and it's one of those things where it's yeah, we're gonna have to get used to that because Matve Mishkov scores a lot of goals, and a lot of the goals that he scores look like that. Now, the second one wasn't the same setup, but it was just a slap shot one-timer. Again, this one was on the rush. Mishkov was actually on the left side this time, shooting across his body. And his ability to just score from anywhere, it's pretty good. Conor Bedard, on the other hand, did not have the same luck, nor did he really have the same opportunity, because he only played, I believe it was like 7 total minutes of time on ice in the game, which is incredibly low, but you gotta understand, Team Canada has itself a very stacked roster up top. Perfetti, Johnson, McTavish, etc. You know who's on this team. And Canada never really has the best reputation when it comes to playing underage players in significant roles. You see Alexis Lafreniere in what was, I believe, the 2019 World Juniors. He didn't really get a chance to play there. You see Quinton Byfield in the 2020 World Juniors. He didn't really get a chance to play there either. And it wasn't really until these guys were 19, 20 years old that they actually had opportunities that were significant. And for Conor Bedard, I mean, he's 16, so it's not really like he's going to be out there with all the power play time and everything. He was on the second unit on the power play, and they used him in the bumper spot, which is not where he's used to playing. He's usually used to, I believe he's on the right side when he plays with Regina, and he commands the play just with his speed and whenever he controls the puck. He didn't have that here. And as a result, the only goal he scored was, he didn't really have all this stuff, but he scored a goal. The only goal he scored was a Cole Perfetti centering masterpiece. It's a good turnover in the defensive zone for the Russians by Team Canada, and it's stolen away on the boards by Perfetti, who just throws one right to the middle for Conor Bedard, who is left all alone. Ray Ferraro thinks Bedard is going to one-time it across his body and by the goaltender, but Bedard says no. He holds onto the puck, he realizes he has time, he dekes to the backhand, goalie bites, dekes to the forehand, and just shovels it in. What a beautiful goal over there by Conor Bedard. A little extra, but you know what? A little extra never hurt nobody when you actually get the goal. Except if your name is Linus Omark, I guess. But still, Conor Bedard went out there, had himself the goal, and this was one of those performances where it was like, yeah, okay, you could really see that he was limited in terms of where he was in the lineup. He was the 13th forward, for crying out loud. But a performance like this, in such a limited amount of time, to be able to score in the way that he did and actually be involved in the way that he was every time he was out there on the ice, I mean, you're going to have to go out there and start giving him more playing time if you're Team Canada's coach, right? It's going to happen, right? It's inevitable. It's Thanos, right? It's just kind of difficult because Matve Mishkov is on the other side being everything and more that the Russian team has expected him to be, and a lot of that, I guess, has to do with the loyalty side of things, because we know that for some of the guys that were playing in North America, they were like, okay, no, you're not coming to the World Juniors. Sorry, Daniil Chayka, you're not playing, even though you are a very good defenseman. And maybe because, this is just me speculating by the way, maybe because Matve Mishkov has signed that extraordinarily long contract that'll take him until 2026 in the KHL, maybe because they're like, hey, look at this guy. He's one of the best hockey prospects in the world, and he signed with us to play in the KHL for years 18, 19, and 20 years old of his career. That's loyalty right there, baby. That's a guy we want to see. We have seen all the problems with Russia and how they treat guys that are eventually going to go to the NHL. You saw this with Kuznetsov and Tarasenko and Panarin, of course. All that stuff and crap about people leaving Russia and going over to the NHL. It's just been pretty bad, and you could see the consequences for some of the guys that go to the OHL, even in Daniil Chayka, of course, and a few of the other guys, but still. Conor Bedard having a significantly smaller role in Team Canada than Matve Mishkov and Team Russia, it's gonna go out there and change the numbers up in a way that is probably undesirable if you're trying to look for an equal comparison between the two. But I guess all we have to hope for now is that Conor Bedard goes out there, he earns himself a top 12 spot on the team. He stops being the 13th forward. He plays maybe in the middle six or whatever. And we just hope that Canada and Russia meet in the finals because they're in different groups this year, so they won't play again until the finals if they both end up making it. If they don't, then the only game of the tournament of Bedard versus Mishkov would have been this one game in the prelims, so that's kind of boring now, isn't it? Talk to me in the comments, though. What do you think about the Mishkov-Bedard hype train? We are all on it. We all watched it yesterday. We have been seeing these guys' social media profiles blow up. Everybody's talking about on HockeyDB Elite Prospects. Hey, guys, they post their lists once in a while, and Conor Bedard and Mishkov are always up there near the top. So talk to me in the comments. What do you think about Mishkov? What do you think about Bedard? What do you think about Canada and Russia and the way they're being deployed? Who do you think is going to edge out the other, and where do you see these teams ending up throughout the span of the tournament? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section section below. Hope you enjoyed this video. Trolls 99, and bye.